why can I not socialize and why can I not connect with people? Until I realized, welcome to Soul Hacks and welcome to this 4th episode of the Welcoming series. Today's episode will all about where am I, why I came here, and all the problems and struggles I faced when I got here. It is really important to me to address this because I feel like there's so many more people feeling the same way. Today's episode will be interesting. I made some notes and I will also read some text I posted on Instagram. But in general, it's more about what I felt and the feeling here. So yeah, let's jump into it. As I mentioned, I'm in Canada now and I'm here in Whistler. Whistler is about 2 hours north of Vancouver on the west coast. I researched before I got to Canada, where's the place to be? Where's the place to be to work in the winter season? And what popped up were obviously all the ski resorts, Big White, Banff, Whistler. You have so many ski resorts. Why I picked Whistler? I have no fucking clue. I don't know. I just picked Whistler and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Whistler. Because what I thought was like, I think Whistler is the place to be, not only in winter, also for meeting people. And that's the most beautiful part for me and the most beautiful thing about traveling. I love meeting people. I love that. I love to have conversations and I love how everything is connected. I chose Whistler for some reason. I think it was also the easiest to get to because I took everything I own with me as I don't have any intentions to go back. So that included my surfboard. Everyone knows that moving is the fucking worst. It is just a pain. So maybe I chose Whistler also because of that. And I don't want to spend money to fly somewhere when I just arrived. So I think that's a reason or a factor why I chose Whistler as well. But anyways, I arrived in Whistler. Even though I thought it is the place to meet people, I quickly realized it is so hard. It is so hard to meet people. Even that I was surrounded by people. And I had so many problems to socialize. And I tried to figure it out. What is the reason? Because that's why here and why now. I tried so hard in the first few weeks, not even the weeks, in the first few months. And nothing really came out of it. And I asked myself, is it me? Am I the problem? Is it because I'm quiet? Not necessarily, I'm not even quiet. Normally I'm such an outgoing person and I'm so confident and I approach people so easily. I don't have any problems to do so. But for some reason, everything was different. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Maybe it's just the time I need to arrive to adjust to Whistler. That's like the settling in phase. I was like, okay, Anna, don't be so hard to yourself. That's completely normal. You will get through it. Everything will fall into place. But I also thought, is it because I don't go out that often? To be fair, at the beginning, I went out a few times to like show my face, to like connect with people. But I realized it felt so shallow. At the end of every night I went out, it didn't give me much. And I was like, that is just... I could spend my time better being at home and reading a book instead of going out. I still tried to find a reason. I tried in general and I tried to find a reason. Why can I not socialize and why can I not connect with people? Until I realized it is not necessarily me. It is my surrounding. It is my surrounding and I needed to adjust to Whistler, to this fast-paced place where everyone goes out, everyone is drinking, not everyone, but like the majority of people, not everyone, but most of the people hate their jobs. Going out, having those shallow conversations, I felt so lost and I didn't know what to do. And I really wanted to solve the problem I had. And I felt like people don't necessarily have to connect with you on a deeper level, and some of them don't want to as well, or some of them they can't, and that's completely fine. No one has to connect in a deeper way, but also just like the way you interact with strangers, but the strangers in the end are in the same boat as you, the way you interact with people on a daily basis. Honestly, the experience I gained were just fucked. I realized that it is a really fast-paced place and people are not necessarily looking for connections. They just want to have a good, fun time here in Whistler, going up the mountain, fucking die hard, and just want to fuck around and going to après every single day. And that's fine. You do you. But it's not my scene, and it's not the way I live my life. And that's not how I gain energy from. I gain energy from good conversations, to feel present and to slow down. And the nature. That's how I gain my energy from. And have lovely conversations. And the conversations doesn't even necessarily have to be deep. But if you have a conversation with a genuinely open and nice person, you can feel it, and it makes such a difference. But also, I was always trying to find a solution. I was always trying to find the reason. So I was like, okay, maybe it's the weather, maybe it's the climate, because I'm so used to a warm climate. I'm so used to going out, laying in the park and staring in the sky. That's how I recharge, and I don't have that here. Not yet. I mean, in summer, but in winter, I'm not a winter person. Not at all. And I'm not necessarily a mountain person either. I'm more an ocean person and warm weather girly. So I was like, okay, maybe it's also the climate. A few factors came together, and I'm pretty sure some of the factors were part of the reason, but I really wanted to try to understand Whistler and the people here a bit more. So I went to the museum and the culture center. For the outcome, it didn't really help, but in the moment, it did. Because it felt like that I'm trying to find a solution, and it gave me a bit of peace. But in the end, the one thing that helped me was the conversation I had with this, I think, very special person, and I'm glad to have her around. She's been in Whistler for quite a while, and she told me the first 2 years were the hardest for her, and Whistler is a special place, but Whistler also doesn't have that much of history. Like, the oldest building here is maybe 50 years old. Maybe I'm lying, I'm not too sure. It could be older, but all in all, Whistler doesn't has a history I'm used to. I'm from Europe. You're surrounded by history. If you look around, you can see history in every single building. Canada itself is pretty young as a country, and I think, especially like for a person like me, being highly sensitive, even that you don't realize it, it still has an influence and impact on how you feel. I couldn't really settle because everything around me, Whistler itself felt so unsettling. And my explanation for myself was, it's a super fast-paced place. Nothing is really here for a long time. Everything is in rotation the whole time, every single day. And even if we don't realize it, that is a fact. I'm convinced that we're influenced by it on a different level. Some people are more aware of this, some people are not. But she told me about a study a few years ago in Whistler, Squamish and Pemberton area. You have neuro-neutral people and you have neurodiverse people. And the people who are neuro-neutral, they basically perceive life in a simple way, which is obviously not a bad way. Where the neurodiverse people, they perceive life in a different way. But they're also maybe on the spectrum or have ADHD or are maybe also highly sensitive as I am. The study showed that the amount of neurodiverse people are way higher in this area compared to any other town. And that made so much sense to me. But at the same time, where do you find those people? Where are the people? And she said to me, you will find those people. It will just take a while. After she said that, I actually met some people I felt more connected to every person I've met before. And I've met a few more people who told me the same, and who told me that the first year or the first 2 years are always the hardest, and that everyone is struggling, and especially winter, days are short, the nights are long, it is dark the whole time. That is a fact. Sunlight has so much influence on our well-being. There are a lot of lost souls walking around Whistler, and I have no other way to describe it. There are a lot of people who feel lost and who are lost, which is not a bad thing. But I feel like so many people try to ignore that or to distract themselves, which is so easy here in Whistler. But you can feel it. I can feel it. It's a feeling you can't describe at all. But it is there every single day. Yeah, you have some better days, you have some worse days, and this constant feeling is present. And I feel like if you don't know who you are, Whistler is not necessarily good for you. I think a lot of people feel that way, but Whistler lets you doubt yourself. Normally, I'm such a confident person. I know myself and I know my worth. But for some reason, Whistler lets you not forget it, but it feels cloudy. You don't forget it, but you don't have it in mind the way you have it in mind in a different surrounding. You need to know who you are, otherwise you get lost here in Whistler. Because Whistler feels like a bubble that doesn't exist. I think it is so important to get out of Whistler, even if it's just a day trip to Vancouver. I think that makes you go back to reality. Just because I perceive it that way doesn't mean it is the way it is for every single person. Every person is different. Every person has their story. Every person has their surrounding. And I'm pretty sure, even that I perceive it that way, it's not necessarily the reality for a few people in Whistler. I haven't been here for that long as others. Obviously, other people have a different perspective. Whistler is different. Whistler is not comparable to any other place I've been before, and I've been to many places. There's something about Whistler you can't put into words, and you can't explain it, but it is so present, and it feels like an invisible layer. But at the same time, I met some people, and I think either you start Whistler on a high and you have the best time, you meet the best people, or you start Whistler on a low and you're struggling and you keep going and it is hard. But I think especially for those people, the longer you stay, the more rewarding it will be. And even that I was struggling, and even if I'm not gonna lie, not 100% happy here, I always try to make it work, because everything and everyone deserves a chance. I'm convinced that everything will fall into place. It will just take time. And I'm always so positive and convinced of the good. This is the only fact that keeps me going. But it is also exhausting. Here we are. I'm really happy that I found my motivation and my energy to start this, because it is such an important project for me. And I really, as I said in the intro, I really want to make you feel more loved and less alone, especially Whistler and especially the people here. They would gain so much in just exchanging and just by speaking up, opening up and sharing how they feel and what they think. And I hope I can open that up a bit and make it easier for others with this podcast. To finish with, I would love to read the text I posted on Instagram. Maybe you can relate. And if, let me know. I'm always happy about a message. Since I've been here, I've had days where I struggle to socialize. Why it's happening now in this place, I've been trying to figure it out. Have I been alone for too long? Are my depth and expectations for conversations, the way I connect with people, getting in the way? You're surrounded by people, but everything feels surface level. You're surrounded by groups, but you don't want to force yourself into them, because it just feels wrong. When I find time alone here, I don't feel fear of missing out. Instead, I feel more like I'm being antisocial. The next text is when I found my place and I was living by myself. I woke up and it felt so strange. Something. A feeling that had been there for days, but I couldn't grasp it. The feeling, I'm scared. Scared that I won't find my people here. Where am I supposed to meet people? Where, when I rarely go out partying? My work isn't very social. I live alone and don't use online platforms. Now, I find myself in a situation where I can actually build something for once, from scratch. Having a place and structure, things I lacked so much over the past few years, but also being completely new in a town that moves incredibly fast, even though you don't. A town that is so different from the places I've been before. A town where you know you're gonna stay. And the last text is the need to meet people. The need to meet people and build connections is more present but also harder than ever. The struggle between being able to be alone and feeling lonely in a completely new environment, having to find new things under new circumstances that make you feel better when you're not doing well. You have to rediscover yourself in every imaginable way. So that was it with the episode. I really hope that you could relate to some things or that you found yourself in some things I said. If so, doesn't matter where you are, if you're in Whistler, if you're somewhere else in the world, you're very welcome to send me a message. I'm always happy to connect. And next episode will be with our first guest, and I really love him. He's such a special person. I'm really happy to welcome him in the next episode, and yeah, stay tuned. I really hope you enjoyed it. If so, please rate 5 stars, 4 stars. If you hated it, message me through my website, Instagram, bio, everything is linked in there. If you have feedback, please give me some feedback. If you have some ideas or topics you want to talk about or you want to listen to, please let me know. I'm very happy to interact, to connect, to exchange. If you want to go on the mission with me to spread some more love.